friends. Welcome to the Mobile Bev Pros podcast, a podcast dedicated to providing mobile bar and event professionals with the information they need to succeed. I'm your host, business coach, and founder of the Mobile Bar Academy, Sarah Murphy. In each episode, the Mobile Bev Pros team will bring you industry experts, information, anecdotes, and opinions with the goal of assisting you in building a profitable, sustainable, and successful business that supports you in creating wealth. I'm excited to share with you today's episode, so let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Mobile Bev Pros podcast. I'm so excited today because I have one of our conference speakers here to give you a sneak peek of what is coming in February. Sam Howell, also known as AI with Sam, is an AI strategist who teaches entrepreneurs how to replace up to 70% of their busy work with AI. No coding or tech background required. She's been on over 150 stages. She's a mom of two who built her business around creating freedom, and she's going to be delivering a keynote at the Mobile Bev Pros conference on AI for your business. Sam, welcome.
Hi, thank you for that intro. Super happy to be here.
I'm super happy to have you. AI is all the rage these days. You can't literally go online without stumbling over it, whether it's some silly AI video or some long Facebook text description that's clearly been ChatGPT. And what I loved about your work with AI from the minute that we connected, actually, one of our committee members found you on Instagram and sent your profile over to me. And is that your take on AI is not what I think a lot of people assume AI to be. A lot of people that are in this industry that are utilizing AI are using large language models like ChatGPT or Claude, which is my favorite, or Gemini, and they are utilizing it to maybe ideate or create copy or help them draft emails or even some image generation through Nano Banana or Midjourney, maybe some editing of some images that they already have, which, like, no shade on that. I do think that's the common understanding of AI. But the way that you utilize AI is different. It's specifically tasking AI with automating and actually executing work that could get ignored or underperformed because it's such a drag to do. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you have really niched into utilizing AI and supporting small businesses to do the same?
Yeah, absolutely. And can we just talk about for a second how those AI videos, I just can't even tell the difference anymore. I was watching one this morning of this bear chasing this man into his car, and I just had to watch it 10 times to decode if it was from AI or not. And because the snow didn't have marks from the bear is the only way that I could tell that maybe this wasn't real. But they are getting so clean and it's a little bit scary, but that's a whole nother tangent. Anywho, I don't do that. What I focus on and really stay on my lane in is building AI agents, aka team members. And the reason and the heart behind that specifically is because I am a mom of two and I am a wife and I have a lot of responsibilities, not only in the workplace, but outside of it too. And there was a point where my brain was just taking on way too much. Every single minute of the day, it was scheduled out. Something had to be done, regardless of that is in the household or if that was in the workplace. And with those two elements playing on my brain, night after night, morning after morning, it just became a little bit too much. And so I went into the AI space and tried to figure out how can I delegate more of my time. And the issue was it was a lot of ChatGPT prompts, which made me feel very robotic. And I actually wasn't like vibing with that. Or it was using these images or things like that, it wasn't really me yet. And so I figured there was a level deeper that I could take this. What am I missing? And so one of the things that I handled most in my business was building automations. Now, from the very beginning, Zapier has been probably one of the biggest automation tools that a lot of people have used to connect one certain information or software to the next. Gmail to your calendar to your Google Sheets, whatever you need to connect. Zapier has been the main reason that we've been able to do that. There's probably other softwares out there, but that was the lane that I stuck in. Now, there's this new software that's been around for a few years, but it is all the rise, and it is called N8N or Make.com. And so, if you haven't heard of those, it takes an element of AI and it can make these automations smarter because it can feed it into something like ChatGPT and it can spit out, read the information, send the information to the next software, but do it in a much more simpler and strategic way that can read data and think like a human being. Zapier wasn't able to really do that. It just was connecting tools. So now we have almost this brain element that you're able to add into the middle that makes things a lot easier. And so, if we think of the typical business owner, they were probably someone like myself who had way too much on their plate and not enough people to delegate to. And if we want to open up payroll, to 10 new employees, which is probably the amount of work that you're doing right now, is a full team of 10 employees. If we want to open that up, then the issue is that the payroll, the health benefits, all of those things, business owners typically don't have the pockets to do that yet, right? And so if we can now build team members or AI agents that can delegate those mundane tasks that weigh on you night after night, day after day, that you're thinking about 2 a.m. in the morning, and you can delegate 70% of that off of your plate, you're able to think smarter, you're able to create more, you're able to be more, you're able to do the things that move the needle forward in business and start acting like a CEO versus like you're running a job. Does that answer the question?
That was a fantastic answer to my question. After you and I, we've had a number of phone calls together, and after one of them, I decided to do my own research as to like what is NA8 N8 N88
Yeah. N, the number 8, and then the letter N again.
Right. And so I went down that. I mean, I'm a pretty technical person. And so I checked out N8N. So I had a understanding to even hold this conversation. I have a unique ability, I think, to really ground complex concepts into everyday language, which I think the audience really appreciates. And the one thing that I think I see a lot in our industry, but in general in society right now, there's a lot of like hesitancy around AI in that it's replacing jobs. And you mentioned just a moment ago that, like you can open up the payroll to 10 people to do this work. But the answer, I think, is that people won't and they aren't and they don't have, to your point, the capital to do that. And so the approach that I took when I was investigating these tools, that included watching some YouTubes of some people who are out there kind of educating on this, one of which is a gentleman named Julian Golden. And he had a 5-hour YouTube video, and I got about, I don't know, an hour into it on 1.5 speed, and I could not bring myself to care about the workflows that he was creating. As an example of one of the workflows that he was creating, it was generating prompts that would then generate videos like of a Yeti eating a bowl of cereal, which would then post it on his YouTube channel with captions. And that feels like one of the scenarios where people are like utilizing AI for the sake of utilizing AI. He's like showing off like what it could do. I could not for the life of me think of a single instance that one of my community members would need to create a video via VO of literally anything just to churn out content that doesn't necessarily have much value. And I got an hour into that video and I still was not able to extract a single usable workflow. And he was using N8N and Apify. And I know that is not what you do. And so I bring up that long story about my own personal experience as to what I was able to find of people utilizing these tools, only because I think if the audience did the same thing, if they were to like do their own research and try and utilize these tools in a way that would be advantageous to their business, that it would in and of itself become a chore that would be quickly given up because would just be easier for me to do my own work than it would be to figure out how to utilize these tools for anything other than AI bro tech flexing. So why don't you share a little bit about how these tools are implemented in a way that is much different than just creating clutter on the Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. And that is such a good point because what I honestly do is not flashy. It's not something that's going to probably go viral on Instagram because it can make a banana talk to a gorilla. And I did that completely on autopilot. I mean, yes, that's possible. There's a world, and that's probably the videos that you were watching that like you can automate these things and you can have a viral Instagram account that has bananas talking to gorillas. Something like it just, but why? And where are people going to go from there? And that's where there's like strategy needs to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then you're just not moving the needle forward with something that you're going to monetize. How is that going to monetize? So in the mundane, in the day-to-day task, what we do is, and what I figured out is let's write down a time audit. Where do we spend most of our time each and every day? And put those into buckets. So one of the buckets is content. One of the buckets could be admin work. One of the buckets can be lead generation and outreach. One of the buckets can be any other form of marketing like newsletters and different types of just research that you need to do. And so if we look at all of these buckets, sometimes you're not spending time on any of this as a business owner because all of your time is spent on a certain project or client fulfillment. And so you have all of these ways that you can actually increase your pipeline and have way more leads coming in, but you're spending your time on a client fulfillment journey. And so how can we open up those pipelines, open up the marketing, the content, the lead gen, the admin work to take that off your plate? Because what I've noticed with most people that I work with is I'm not always replacing the tasks that they do as much as I am adding on those tasks without them having to touch it. And so let's break those buckets apart a little bit. If we look into the content, well, instead of spending 10 hours a week scrolling, an hour a day scrolling for an idea, what if you got an email every morning that showed you exactly what content is going viral right now? And that content also was paired in with your industry, with your niche, with your offers. And so you could take this viral piece of content that 50 people have gone and had a million plus views with, then it takes your niche, your industry, and everything that it knows about you because AI has a knowledge base and it connects it to that viral content and it spits out an original version for you. So instead of you having to spend an hour on scrolling and consuming and comparison and blah, 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 instead of doing all of that, you now have it hand delivered to you. You know that it can and should convert. You know that if you are stay consistent with it, you are getting the best of the best ideas. Now there's the originality that I don't want to steal from people. And so that element still you do whatever it is that you want, but here's a framework for you. Here's exactly what could work for you. And so that's 10 hours maybe of your week, 7 hours of your week taken off your plate that either you were consuming without creating. Now you have a reason to create. So there's content. Now let's talk about posting. Let's say you make that one form video that is 30 seconds long and you want it to go to TikTok, you want it to go to YouTube's Reel or YouTube Shorts, you want it to go to Instagram Reels, you want it to go on Twitter, you want it to go on X, you want to go to Facebook, all of the different places. You take a video one time and instead of writing all of the captions, writing all of the stuff, putting it on all of the places, you can deliver it to one place and it's put completely out there for you. And each of them matches the right platform with how the format should look, along with the right angles of how X does versus how Reels do. That could be different. So that formulates differently. And then you can turn that into a newsletter. And then you can turn that into a long form LinkedIn post. And so that, let's say, is another 10, 15 hours that you weren't ever doing before. So now you have this new element of legitimacy that you're building with your social brand because you have content that is being fed to you based on the knowledge base of you that should work because it is viral content. So that's one way, one of the buckets we can open up when it comes to taking AI end-to-end and connecting the platforms to make it work smarter for you, and that you don't have to spend all of these hours doing all of this work that you probably aren't doing in the first place.
And again, I want to hammer this home because the biggest piece of resistance that I oftentimes hear is that they don't want to AI away their business. They don't want to take jobs from people. And if you focus on the things that you're probably not doing, you're not paying anyone to do these things, but they are things that could grow your business, support your business, and help your business, then you're not really replacing anything. So aside from utilizing AI to do a bunch of things that are not actually overly beneficial, such as creating banana and gorilla videos, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make in the use of AI or in the integration of AI within their business?
So AI still needs you. It still needs a human. It still needs your magic, your thoughts, your vision. Without that vision, it's just a robot. It just turns into noise that everybody else sounds like. I can tell an AI caption in a heartbeat, even if you put in a bunch of effort, even if you took out the M dashes. Like, it's just all starting to sound very similar. So what I like to do is I write my original thoughts first. I have it maybe clean up, or I ask questions on what angle am I not thinking of. So I use it more as a strategic partner than a replacement of my mind. And so a lot of the times too, if we take out the business element, people are using AI to not think for themselves anymore, to not make decisions for themselves. I would challenge you to bring your own ideas, bring your own vision, and then ask it to challenge your thoughts. Not ask it if you're right or wrong, because it's always going to agree with you. That's unfortunately the biggest problem right now, is it's always going to tell you that you're amazing when maybe one of the decisions you're doing is not amazing. So I would always ask it to challenge your thoughts instead of give you your thoughts, because then you're going to lose your magic and you're going to turn into this flat type of brand out there versus the actual spark that makes people connect with you. Now, relationships are important, your face is important. And so if you try to take those elements out, then again, you become this flat brand that's probably not going to connect with people. People are going to crave authenticity more than anything in this AI time. And so AI is not meant to replace your personality. You have to bring the personality still, and you have to keep practicing that. And so, like anything, if you're not good on camera, you just need to do the reps. You just need to show up every day. You need to challenge yourself that if I show up for 30 days straight, I know I'm going to make improvement. And I don't care if nobody likes it, if no one blah. You at least have a framework, but show up and try to go as unscripted as possible. So that way your authentic voice comes out in the mix, and that you don't just fall again into this flat brand that nobody can actually connect with because it does sound robotic. So those are probably the main things, is making sure that you're still making decisions for yourself, making sure that you're still carrying the vision, and then using it as a strategic partner or just a tool to delegate versus your own mind, and keeping the authenticity, keeping your voice, keeping your face, keeping the relationships close, and not trying to delegate too much all at once. People want to cut corners and get all the cheat codes, and they want to go from 0 to 70 hours plus delegated overnight, and that's just not how it works. You need to spend the time educating yourself. You still need to be able to grow your skill set as a business owner. And so trying to not have any skills as a business owner, and by skills, I mean you need to know sales, you need to know marketing, you need to know lead gen, you need to invest in yourself. And if you aren't doing those things and you're trying to use AI to cut the corners entirely, that is what's going to actually hurt you more in the long run. And you're going to blame it on AI not being the best business associate that it possibly could have been, when in reality, it can only go as far as you're able to take it. And so if you keep hitting walls, it's probably because you need to grow as a person in your business development. And that is what's going to take you to the next level.
That was a wonderful response. I spent some time the other day playing around with HeyGen and 11 Labs just because I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious as to what is possible. And for listeners that don't know, Hey Jen is really good at creating a likeness. And then 11 Labs is really good at emulating one's voice. So you
Hmm.
can like hook them up together. So one is creating you speaking and the other is utilizing your voice. And they require like 2 hours worth of audio and some
Hmm.
video so that they can emulate it. And as much as people are touting this technology, I could not get behind how weird I looked.
Yeah.
It's like they could not. First of all, the lip syncing was slightly off. Second of all, the mannerisms just weren't the same. And so, like, we're still not to the place where I think personally, and like the YouTube creator that I watched that very long video of, a lot of his videos are made using his likeness, and he'll even
Hmm.
say that like this is my likeness making this video while I am off supporting clients and that sort of thing. But it's still creepy. It's still creepy to watch people. So I love that you mentioned that like you got to keep your face on, at least for now, but
Hmm.
also, and some people were like, "Oh my God, Sarah, I can't believe you gave a tech company your likeness." Listen, my likeness is all over the internet already. I
For
have
real.
thousands of hours of my face all over the internet. If they
Uh-huh.
wanted it, they could take it. And so I'm not too worried about any of that. But I do like to toy with certain technology to see how far we can take it and then also what use it could be for the industry. And that particular set of technology, I think we're still pretty far off on being able to replicate our likeness in a way that doesn't feel inauthentic. And so I'm 100% with you. Keep making your own Instagrams and your TikToks. And as much as possible, if you're going to use LLMs for content creation, use as much of your own writing samples as possible and recognize that it's still going to sound like it. I think you're right in that there are some pieces that are going to default to being more valuable if they are more authentic. I think that we need to maintain a certain level of authenticity in our business while also utilizing the technology that we have available to us to help us grow and to fill in the gaps of the skill sets that we might not have, but also that we might not have the capacity to build at within the budget and the
Hmm.
time that we have allotted. Like I always talk about entrepreneurship is like we're wearing a million different hats all the time and we're not actually wearing hats that fit us. Some of them we fit because like we're really good at that thing. Some of them we have to wear just because we have to do them. Like I got to keep my books, I got to pay my taxes. I might not be very good at it, but I have to, right?
Hmm.
So utilizing AI to help with the hats that don't fit all that well enables us to do more with less, do more with less time, do more with less money. Even what do you see your clients saving? You've mentioned some time savings, but what about financially?
Well, one of the scenarios that's kind of running in my mind right now and kind of even is aligned with just authenticity is one of the biggest things that I see business owners struggling with is lead to speed. So a lead comes in, they're interested, they want to book with you, and but they're shopping around, right? So they send an inquiry, but they're also going to be sending 10 other inquiries to a bunch of other spots. If you're the fastest one to respond because you use the help of AI, and maybe that first touch point is a quick response, which is important because if they're shopping around, they're in a buying mood. Okay. And if you miss that window and you're the last to respond because you have 20 other things on your plate, you just missed a massive opportunity. And if you do that over and over again, then your business is missing out on big opportunities as well. And so, lead to speed being one of the things that you would want to delegate to AI. So if someone puts in an inquiry, they get a response right away. Even if it's an automated response, but you can now make it connected to AI so that even if it's automated, it's personalized. And so it's personalized to the inquiry, it's personalized to their name. So it doesn't look like just a regular email. You can make it look more humanized. And then you don't want to lose the relationship by what if then they call? Okay, so now they're interested, they got a response and they call right away. Well, if that gets sent to voice AI, it's not there yet. It can't have a one to one human conversation personally, well, I think. And we spent months on projects with voice AI. It's just not ready yet, I think, to do a great job. And so they call, and instantly they could get a sour taste in their mouth. And the brand, the relationship, that is something maybe I wouldn't cross the line on yet and still have a person there for it, right? So lead to speed, but then human touch point. And so think of that in all areas of your business when, and I'm still going off the authenticity, is do the research for content, but then you make the content. Okay. And then same for personal, like responding to emails. It drafts things up for you, organizes it for you, but then you come in and maybe you do the personal touch to make sure everything looks clean and it doesn't look like a bunch of just AI robots wrote everything. So that those huge time savers will make you more money because you're able to do things faster, you're able to take things off your plate, you're able to keep things more organized for you. And so you don't have to bring in a VA to handle all of those positions, but now you can bring in maybe a personal assistant or a VA to handle one position and do it really well. And that's the human position. That's the relationship position. That's the authenticity position. And so you maybe have now more money to pay that person, and you don't have to give them 10 roles just like you were using. You can now give them one really solid role of being the actual human in the business. And now all of these leads that are coming in from your content, from your inquiries, from the phone calls, from the text messages, from all of these things, now they can get funneled into a human. And so that's a position now you can delegate off and you can give way more to that one person and have that person do a really good job at handling the lead to the sale. And so that's just one instance of how you could save money and then keep it authentic.
Love that. I think when we were talking at one point, you were talking about the lead to speed, and you mentioned being able to utilize it to respond to DMs in Instagram.
Yeah, so what's cool and what I have been enjoying the most when it comes to DMs is conversational AI. And so DMs is somewhere that I use AI because when you have content that is doing well and you have 50 messages, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that every day. That's like my worst nightmare is responding to messages in the DMs. That's like my worst habit ever. So that was the first problem I really wanted to get fixed because I left people hanging for at least 3 weeks. I'm like, oh, you still interested now that I have an hour to myself? And the other was no. So anywho, most people are using mini chat. And mini chat, you can kind of set it up as a way to answer yes, no, whatever, and then they send you the series of information. Similar to Zapier, it's intelligent in a way of it can take them through different triggers, different workflows based on their answers, but not intelligent enough that it can answer and have a conversation with them and have a knowledge base. And so I think they're doing some updates right now, and maybe they're leaning that direction now that they see what's possible. But as of right now that I know of, it's not set up that way. And so one of the things you can do with N8N is you can take OpenAI, ChatGPT, and you can give it a knowledge base. So let's say you have an offer that you want people to, but you would really rather them put in an inquiry or hop on a call. And that's probably going to be the best way that you can close a sale. Yes, you can sell through chat, but I think if it's higher ticket, I would say probably go through a call unless you have a really solid social media base. So let's say you want to take them through to a sales call, and that's your one call to action. I would say keep your calls to action very minimal. Maybe there's a freebie, maybe there's a call. And that's it. Don't have 10 different offers for people because then AI gets very confused and it's probably going to do something wrong. So let's say you want to get them to a call. They comment the keyword because that is what's trending right now is comment this keyword and they comment it, but they don't get the typical automated message that says, do you want yes or no, blah, blah, blah. They get a conversation starter. And so then they answer the conversation, and based on the knowledge base, based on how they answered, it will always answer back with the goal of getting them to book a call. So, like a sales associate would, like a DM agent would. with a brain and a knowledge and a script. You can give it a script like you would a human. You can give it your hours of operation, your capacity, your scheduling. You can give it all of these different things. And now any FAQ, maybe you have a list of 100 FAQ, doesn't matter how many questions that you want to feed this knowledge base, it's able to scan through it and then provide an answer right away. So it doesn't look like a robotic mini chat flow that takes the human out of it. Even though it is AI, I found that it converts way better than just mini chat alone. I think it converts, I would say, like 30-40% better than what mini chat does because it's in a flow. Now, with that being said, I do get questions sometimes. I would say only like 5% of the time does someone say, "Is this AI?" I have an AI account, so people ask me that and I say like I own it. I'm like, "Yes, Sam's out busy saving the world right now. This is her assistant, AI Ruby. Are you interested in having one of these for your business?" Totally. Here's how you get the information to that. She's out, hanging out with her kids right now. But if you would like, here's the information. And so I totally own it. And I haven't had anybody have a problem with that.
Or if they do, I mean, they're not your ideal client because
Mhm.
literally do AI for a business. And I
Right.
think
And maybe
it's kind
different
of like
industry niches.
once upon a time we had
Mhm.
voicemail and you'd leave a
Yeah.
voicemail and we get back to you. And that was a new technology, right? And so
Right.
now we have these AI chatbots, especially if they're intelligent. I
Hmm.
have a lot less problem with an intelligent AI that's answering my questions. So we have them in all the apps now, like my Xfinity app, that you got to talk to AI first. Literally anything you do online, you have to talk to AI first. I love that AI as long as it can support me. If it can answer my questions, I don't need it to be a person. My whole
Hmm.
goal is to get my question answered. If I need to talk to a human, then I get annoyed because I talked to the AI first and I could have just been talking to the human. You know what I mean? So I do think done well, we have a level of acceptance around
Right.
what is created with AI. And I also love that you said that you own it because I do think it should be legally required, which it is not because the people in Congress are old and they don't even understand technology. But I do think that there should be a law requiring people to disclose, especially upon request, whether or not it's AI. I think that there should be some, what do I want to say, integrity around
Mm-hmm.
the use of AI. I don't necessarily think
Hmm.
you need to mark every time you write an email, but I do love when people are honest about like this video was made with AI. My mom sent me something like rabbits jumping on a trampoline. She's like, "Look how cool this is." I was like, "Mom, that's AI." She's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Okay, we're in scary territory now. If you can't tell that
Really.
like
Hmm.
12 rabbits jumping on a trampoline is AI."
Honestly, though, and that's why like I stick in my lane of like my lane is essentially just using it as leverage to make these workflows to basically just do Zapier, but do it way smarter. And I know there's a dark side to AI. I know that there's political things and there's the voices and the weird stuff. Like I know that there is this side that I don't even want to touch. I don't want to be near and gives me the ick. And so my lane is freeing up time and doing it in as authentic as possible, being as real as possible with it. And if that still gives people the ick, like I get it. It's new. Like whenever something new comes out, like we have to kind of figure out our own opinions. And not everyone is going to agree with this podcast. And not everyone's going to think that I should have AI in my business. And maybe you shouldn't. Maybe it's not for you. That's totally okay. Then you're going to need to be able to handle workload in a completely different way. And you have to find what works best for you. But if you're anything like myself, who is solopreneur slash mom slash wife slash travel enthusiast slash, has hobbies and a life outside of working, and you want to be able to manage your time and be able to offload some things, then I would say just do your research, do your due diligence, and then have like a yes or no list. This is what I will say no to on AI. This is what I won't bend on, and this is what my morals are. Because I do think AI can maybe cross some morals for even myself that I'm like, I don't touch that. I don't go there. I don't teach that. And this is my yeses. This is what I will do. This is what I can do. And this is what I want to do with it. And so it is a fine line. And I think everybody's line is different. And there's no judgment for whatever your line is, but you just got to figure out yours in the mix of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, without giving too much away, what can people expect to learn and take away from your keynote at the conference?
Yes, so what I really can't wait to show everybody is the 5 AI employees that I think every business should have and why they should have them and how to get them started and implemented. So we have worked, I at this point have probably worked with hundreds of different business owners. I've seen every type of industry, every type of niche, and these 5 common ones are the ones I see over and over where you could use support with. So I'm going to break down each 5 of those employees, how much time it will save you, how much income you can make from them, how much you can save from them as well, and how much time you can save from them. So I think that your guys, whoever is going to be there, is going to love this. I'm going to bring as much value as possible. I'd love to give away employees as well. And so if you are at this conference, definitely make sure you bring your notepad to this one because there's going to be some good information in there. And I won't hold back on the value that I try to provide for everybody.
I'm personally very excited. I'm also very excited that you and I will be working closer together in 2026 to help bring what you offer, your team offers, to some of the offers that we already have within the academy and in the group programs so that our community gets to benefit more deeply with the knowledge and the expertise that you have around these very strategic business-based AI agents. If you want to learn how to gorilla and banana, that we not here. That's not what we're going to be
It's not for
offering.
me.
Me neither.
But
For-
show me the video because I think they're entertaining.
they are fun for sure. Awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see Sam on stage in February. If this conversation got your wheels turning about how you could be working smarter instead of harder with AI, imagine what a full hour with her is going to do. Not to mention, she's also going to be on our tech panel that same day, so you'll get more access to ask her questions. Tickets for the conference are available at mobilebarpros.com. The link will be in the show notes. And we will also drop all of Sam's links in the show notes so that you can get in touch with her if you literally cannot wait until February.
Yeah, send me a message on Instagram, see how the AI conversation does.
That's a great idea. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And I very much look forward to meeting you in person in February and to continuing to work alongside your zone of genius to help make the process of being in business in the mobile bar industry simpler and more lucrative.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. I'm super excited to be there.
And that wraps up today's episode. I hope it was valuable. I would love to hear from you what you thought. You can drop me a line at hello@mobilebevpros.com or find me on Instagram at mobilebevpros. If you're looking for more valuable mobile bar related content, we have a website full of it. You can find us at www.mobilebevpros.com. And I'd love to see you in our Facebook community, also by the name of, you guessed it, Mobile Bev Pros. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, cheers.